Hello, everybody. Forgot to put my headphone on. I guess we should start in few minutes as I'm seeing people are logging in. So, as normal, we'll start with our prayer and then we will continue our discussion on the constant integrated awareness topic. So, may I request everybody to read along with me this universal prayer. O Lord, take my love and let it flow in fullness of devotion to Thee. O Lord, take my hands and let them work incessantly for Thee. O Lord, take my soul and let it be merged in one with Thee. O Lord, take my mind and thoughts and let them be in tune with Thee. O Lord, take my everything and let me be an instrument to work for Thee. Dear friends, welcome to the series on constant integrated awareness that we call as CIA. As I mentioned before about this session, so what we'll do, I will try to recap initially, and then we'll continue it forward and see the implementation of this beautiful concept which our master has given us, as we say, how to be constantly aware of our purpose, how to how to work in the world, but keep your mind always stable on the purpose and the goal of life. And while doing that, how to achieve and how do we achieve our full potential and reach our goal. So, as we had discussed constant integrated awareness, we had started with a concept of realizing what are we supposed to be aware of, and that is how the journey of the discussions had started. And we had looked at awareness of self, and in that self we had understood the definition of self, which was Sat Chit Ananda, which is truth, consciousness, and bliss. And we saw that the self is made up of, or so to say, the constituent element of the self is called in that three manner, which was the being, the awareness, a pure conscious state of the being, which is reflected into the world, and the experience of bliss. Then we looked at the self-awareness part, how it is external and internal, and how this awareness plays in our physical realm and goes through our the life part of it. Okay, and then we had also looked at the discussion between the consciousness and awareness, and we had understood that conscious is like an ocean and awareness is, that I had given you an example of that lighthouse in the ocean, and wherever the light falls you see that part of the ocean very bright and beautiful. But we have to be aware, however we have to be conscious that the ocean is not just where the light is. Ocean is much vaster than that. So the lighted area which is reflected and which we are aware of, that becomes the awareness, and the ocean behind, which is still so called darkness, is the consciousness. So we understood that we have to rise our awareness to meet the consciousness. And we had looked at the four stages of consciousness, but we would look at it a little bit in more depth today. We like to explore slightly more about the state of consciousness as to how it goes through our body. But this is an important concept which we need to understand. Before this, I want to just mention one small thing. Some people may feel, and somebody had raised that, do we really have to understand or dwell too much about the philosophy and the concept of these, you know, these things? And in a very humble way, I would say that it is like a theory and practical. You know, if you do not have a clear concept and understanding of the theory, and you want to just jump into the practicals, how successful can you be? So you will always have this challenge that, have I really understood, and am I doing the practicals correctly as it is expected? So theory is a concept which, unless until we understand and we have a clarity, we will not be able to execute practicals in the proper manner. So these concepts are the theories on which the whole life is based. Now, in the normal material world, in this visual cosmos, and if you study the cosmic from the very uh, objective manner, and if you have a spiritual outlook, the difference is slightly there. In the normal objective world, you have theory and you go into practicals. You can. But in the spiritual realm, when you try to explore, there is something else in the middle of this two program. So first is the theory, which is the concept. Then second is contemplation. Only then you venture into the practicality of life. So as you are doing practice, as you are doing studies, the contemplation is equally important. And that is the most important thing for a spiritual aspirant, or for anybody who is trying to explore life from your personal satisfaction and fulfillment point of view. Most of us, we get trapped, like, thanks to this coronavirus, I would say, it has forced all of us to be in one place for some time. Now, instead of fighting this scenario, if only we could accept this scenario as a positive attitude and say, okay, I have been complaining all my life that I don't have time and I'm too busy to running around. I wish I could find time for myself. This is the time. So if you can use this time just to learn how to contemplate, learn how to calm, learn how to go internal, learn how to focus, then the process will become easier as you re-enter the working environment and you try to get physically active. Mentally, we are all the time, running. Now this is the time to calm your mind too, and this is a state of contemplation. So in spirituality, the concepts are very important. You have to understand, more or less, at least have a clarity about which direction to move. And once you have taken off, then you need to contemplate on it. You have to internalize the whole thing. And then in the spiritual realm, the best part is the action happens. And the more and more you contemplate, you realize that you are physically, mentally, you will start responding to the needs and your duties of life. So there is no need for an extra effort, or a conscious effort. Many times as you go forward and forward in life, you're going to realize that the conscious effort of working is less. It is reducing. Each time you contemplate more, you study more, the action naturally happens. You get more and more active, you get more and more involved in life. But that is a beautiful organic development. But in the materialistic, in the objective world, when you look at it, you realize that effort for an action is very conscious. You have to do something, you feel so, because there's a kind of feeling of doership, more or less. And that feeling goes into other realm also. But as you contemplate and keep working towards each other, you realize that really life is happening. We don't do life. We don't do anything with the life. Life happens. And to accept this is the beauty of growth and development of a personality. And in that process, contemplation is the biggest gift. If we learn how to pause, if we learn how to internalize, think, and that is what we usually call meditate, but it is not meditation in that manner. To meditate on a concept, to contemplate on a concept, and that leads to the next session of implementation, of execution. And then you are able to realize that how naturally life flows. So, with this backdrop, let us look at the stages of consciousness and understand it slightly more from that angle. So, this whole cosmic world is broken down or is understood to have three layers of bodies. They call it in Sanskrit, the word is given sharir. Sharir is the body, the physicality of it. And we have this first body is Sthula Sharira. Sthula means gross. The gross body is this. Whatever you see in this materialistic world, in objective world, in this manifested world, I think manifested is a better word. So in this manifested world, what we see is called Sthula Sharira. That is the gross body. In this body, to activate this body, to run this body, the consciousness is in the form of energy, and that energy in our body is in the form of heat, and that consciousness is termed in the physical realm as Vaishwanara. And this you can experience even in the wake stage. See, while we eat something, there is a heated energy, and there is a heat inside which activates naturally and allows the, the process of digestion to take place. And that is how this body is sustained. There is a heat. As we say, the sun is the pivot of this whole creation, and sun is the cause and the reason for us to be alive. That is heat energy. And this energy in our body and in this manifested world of physical world, the consciousness is termed as Vaishvanara. Those who read Bhagavad Gita or those who chant the food prayer from the Bhagavad Gita, Aham Vaishvanaro Bhutva, that also explains that I am, that consciousness is in me. I am Aham Vaishvanaro. I am staying, that I is that Tat that says that I am in your body as Vaishvanara. That heat energy, that pivot point of consciousness is sitting in you, which helps to take the food and digest it and assimilate it. So that is called Vaishwanara. That is the Sthula Sharira. So in the gross body, this is manifested world. In this manifested world, the consciousness is residing in us, and that is termed as Vaishwanara. And that physical manifestation of that is heat. That is your sun inside, it's our heat, and that is energy for us. Now inside that there is something called sukshma sharira, that is subtle body. Now subtle body is exactly the same as physical body, as they explain. The only difference is that it has got no grossness in it. It's not grossness. It's like transparent. As you see in the movies, they show you ghosts. It has the same physical form, but it can go through it. You can walk through it. It is see-through kind of scenario. So that is called sukshma sharir, and that is also referred to as an astral body. So the astral world is a light world. The body is made up of light, and you travel at the speed of mind. So it has a mind connotation. So the physical body acts, the subtle body experiences and controls the physical body. So the mind element is in the Sukshma Sharira, which is your subtle body. And that is where your experiences of thought, your feelings get generated. And those generation of feelings are manifested through the Sthula Sharira, which is the gross body. And in this subtle body, the consciousness which is stays, the consciousness in that body is termed as Tejas. Tejas is effulgence. So the heat, the effulgence of heat is Tejas. It is the brilliance of, they say, as they explain in the Vedic terminology, brilliance of thousands of suns together, and that is Tejas. So that Tejas, that form of Tejas is in our being in Sukshma Sharira. And that seemingly we can experience in our dream state. So dream state doesn't mean that you have to literally sleep, but imagine going to dream state consciously. Then you can consciously experience that. Otherwise, subconsciously, we experience that. You can see effulgence, and that is your subtle body, the subtle body experience. So that is in there. The consciousness is termed as tejas. It is light. It has the energy and the power and the speed of mind. So that is your sukshma sharira. Then inside that sukshma sharira, there is another layer, and that is called karana sharira. Karana in Sanskrit means cause. That's why it's called causal body. The reason for the birth, the reason for this manifestation, the reason for this frame of body or whatever is the cause. So this is the cause of everything. Why you and I exist, why we are here, is because of this causal body. And what is it made up of? The causal body is actually the impressions of what the mind and the body have done. So when the Sukshma Sharira and Sthula Sharira are in action, whatever impressions they get, it falls and creates a cause, the causal, and that layer, we look at it. And in that layer, under that, sits the real me. And in that Karna Sharira, in the causal body, the consciousness residing in that is termed as Prajna. Prajna, I, in my best understanding, I think I can define it as enlightened wisdom. Now, jnana is wisdom, prajna is enlightened wisdom. When that wisdom becomes enlightened in that glory, when you start connecting, that is the state of consciousness. So the karna sharira, in that consciousness sits as prajna. So now if you look at it, now inside that prajna sharir, you have the atma, that I-ness sitting quietly. And that supreme energy is the spark of the supreme consciousness. So if you go down enlightened awareness, wisdom, insight, there you find the true self. And there the consciousness is termed as Turiya. The experience of Turiya is as if the river merging into ocean. That split second, that line where the river merges in ocean is Turiya. In Buddhist, in Zen, somebody had mentioned to me very beautifully that they chant a very lovely prayer, and that exactly refers to this only, that mergence point. So that Turiya state of consciousness belongs to that state of mergence. So this state of consciousness is engulfed with three layers: karna sharira, sukshma sharira, and sthula, causal, subtle, and gross body. These three bodies, as you can see now, so they are impressions, and these impressions create a layer around the real I. And this layer is again covered with subtle body, which is the astral being, which actually experiences the emotions, decision making, and all that happens in subtle body. And then expression of that happens in the sthula sharira. So sthula sharira is actually a reflection, reaction, and resound of sukshma. Sukshma is what happens on the causal body. So causal body is the cause because of which the I is hidden. So if you keep this in mind, this is a stage of consciousness. And then we'll understand how the manifestation happens in a very simple way. So if you look at it, the physical body, as we understood, bhuta, they call it, I'm using Sanskrit word also, so that people who understand, they can correlate this. Because as I said to you before, these are all Vedic knowledges. I'm just sharing with all of you. So people can make a cross reference and understand it. And this is how our master has taught us. So I'm just putting it together. So if you look at it, the gross body, that is the body, that is the grossness, that is the bhuta akasha. That's how it is referred to. The whole manifested world is bhuta akasha. Then the unmanifested world, which is subtle, is called chitta akasha. That I explained to you is a mind state. It has all the layers of mind, emotions, all that works there. And then that leads to the causal body, which is Chiddakasha. And that causal body, that is called impulses, those are termed as vasanas. So our birth is also based on vasanas. So these are the three, if you can understand this manifestation, how these vasanas happen is because of mind and body. How does the body work? Due to mind. And whatever they do, the imprints come on the Chidakasha, that's that core causal body, and that imprints becomes the causal body. And inside that is the real I. So this is the contemplation, this is the point of contemplation, to realize, to go within, to find these layers and to explore them is the real meditation. So how do I go in and in to discover myself better? And that is how we look at it, that what happens to when we die, or what is the purpose of end of this journey. If you look at it, then you'll realize that the physical grossness is all the manifested world, right? This whole manifested world is made up of only 5 elements. You can do it any permutation combination, it's only made up of 5. So when the life breath leaves, these 5 elements merge back into 5 elements, period. So our body also has these 5 elements, which are, the space, air, water, and earth. All these things also go back into the same elements. Similarly, the astral, the subtle body, which is the mind concept, also goes back into these vibrationals and emotions. So the catch here is emotions are leaving imprints. So only when the imprints are going, then the soul can merge back into supreme consciousness. Otherwise, the soul is hanging. So that is the game. The cycle of life keeps going in and out, and that is how our Vedanta explains to us that this cycle keeps going unless and until we learn to remove vasanas. Now, here another topic has come about to understand this mind properly. Maybe next week I will do a session purely on the mind as explained by our master. So that would give us a little bit better clarity and understanding of how this mind is formed and how to look at it and how to understand, so that it will help us if you want to really work on creating some kind of checks and growth for the mind control or whatever. So these are the concepts which come out of there, and then we can work out different programs for different people and ages. Okay, so this is how we look at how the emergence happens. Now, this I had last time discussed about how do we live with that, but here is another small little concept that I would like to spend 2 minutes on. That is faith versus experience. Now, the challenge is all these things, are they are recorded for at least 10,000 years. So there is, these concepts are tested by people whom we call saints and seers, our ancient scientists. Now the problem is we think that how can I have faith unless I have experience? Correct? Everybody feels like that, that unless I have experience, I cannot have faith. But the reverse is also true, that you cannot have experience unless you have faith. So it's like a catch 22 scenario. Chicken came first or egg came first? Because unless you have experience, you won't have faith. And without faith, you cannot have experience. So which comes first? Now, this question, if you really contemplate on it, we realize that actually and truly, faith is the first. When a baby is born, the child has got no experience of any relationships in the physical realm. But by default, it has faith towards mother. It clings on to it. It questions nothing. Whatever is fed, just takes it. So, who gave the child experience to have faith? So, the fact of the matter is, faith is inborn, inbuilt, innate with humans. In this creation, faith is very important. And that is why we have to generate faith in our life, faith in ourselves, to even experience higher self and experience higher things in life. So, if you really understand the presence of an avatar, the presence of a teacher, presence of a guru, is not that he's craving that somebody should have faith in him. And then, people think that the masters come here just for building. No, they are not here so that you can worship them. They are here because you need to have faith. So if we need to have faith, if I trust my neighbor or my person walking by or any my coworker, they may betray my faith, they may break it down, which is true. We are humans, we can do that. So God in his mercy comes, takes a form and says, okay, have faith in me. So the faith in him, when you have, then you know that it won't be broken, he will take care of it. And the reciprocation of it is that he starts developing faith in us. So the more and more we have faith in God, actually we get faith in ourselves. And we realize that that God who was standing in front of me was actually my own mirror, my own, I was seeing my image in that God. So that form became me, and then I became myself, and that became self confidence. So the faith is important, the element of faith is important. And for that element of faith, there is somebody external imagery required. So that is why our master always says that initially you need directions, you need a symbolism, you need things, but don't get stuck to them. The form is also a symbolism, because a symbol is directing you towards something. Know that. And don't stop at the symbol. But we are in a hurry. The moment we find a symbol, we are in a rush to move out of symbol. That is also wrong. So we have to understand that we need symbol and then work towards it. And the more and more we genuinely work towards it, you will realize the symbolism will disappear and that symbol will become part of you and you will walk freely. So faith and experience is very critical. And only when you walk the path, you get the experience. So if anybody says, I do not have experience, the simple reason for that is we have not practiced what we have understood. We have not practiced what we believe in. We have not practiced what we are supposed to do. So we have not walked the path, period. If I have not experienced it, it's very simple for me to understand. I cannot blame anybody for that matter. The only reason is that I have not practiced it. And the moment I practice, I'm bound to get experience. And that experience will reinforce my faith. And that faith will lead me to further experiences. And this chain will continue till I reach my evolution. And this is the point which is required for us to have firm faith, that these concepts are eternal. So once you understand, once you believe in the master, once you believe in the concepts, either you can believe the scriptures or but you have to believe, have faith in these truths of life. Only then all these things would matter. If you do not have faith, then I'm sorry, you will always be in a struggleful mode, and it will be always a challenge. We have all gone through it. I'm still going through it. But the beauty of it is, the more and more I realize that no, we have to let it go. And then you suddenly find you own it. But the more I try to own it, I lose it. So this is a very beautiful cycle which we all need to understand and keep in mind. And from there, we have also looked at last time the body's koshas, which I'm not going to spend more time. But here I wanted to go through this breathing cycles to understand that when we are doing implementation of this program, then what happens? See, now when you keep this whole concept in mind, now we have already discussed what CIA actually implies. What are we supposed to be aware of? We are supposed to be aware of our consciousness, our bodies, the different layers which we carry with ourselves. And we have now understood conceptually, at least, where does our emotions play. And if you are trying to control your physical world, you have to understand that first you have to control your emotions and your mental world. And then only you can save the imprints forming and creating that web of vasanas or impulses. So if you keep that in mind, then comes the process of it. Now, what is this process? And this is what the keys, and it's very simple. And last time also I mentioned to you that this mindful, I was fortunate to be part of a Zen camp in Thailand. And there I picked up some tools and I loved it actually, because they are something which I knew, but I had not practiced in that way. And here it got a little bit practical. So that's why I said to you, it's my pleasure to share whatever I gather in my life journey. So mindfulness is a very beautiful concept which came in that. And now I realize that the whole concept of Soham, the breath control, which our yogic techniques are teaching, they all start with the focus. Some people ask me that is chanting or saying omkar or any kind of chant or a bell, is that part of meditation? Personally speaking, I feel it's like a preparation for an activity. It's like a warm up before the 100-meter sprint. So while we do chants, while we do prayers, or whatever we do, we are actually trying to stabilize. We are trying to bring our mind to a focus that we can. And once you reach that state, then the contemplative mindfulness starts. Then actually the silent sitting or meditation or contemplation, whatever you want to call it, it begins. So the prayer and everything is actually leading us to that. But it doesn't mean that the prayer cannot be meditation, because the moment the mind has reached, and then if you are physically, you want to just keep worshipping or chanting, that's also fine. But the idea is, while chanting, if your mind is running everywhere, it's like master used to joke and say, you chant one line and you say, hey, is the milk done? Has the milkman come, or a dhobi come? So if your mind is running everywhere, then obviously the purpose of prayer is not done. So the whole concept of mindfulness comes in this way, to create calmness, peace, and relaxation, ease. This is supposed to give you clarity, concentration, and insight. If you are not achieving it, well, then you are not in the mindfulness state. So for that, you have to understand the process. And that is why initially, if you want to start, the postures matter. How do you sit? What do you wear to sit? What is the kind of environment you create? All that matters. So our scientists, I lovingly call them scientists, our spiritual scientists, whom we sages, they have given us everything. You can sit on a sofa if you have to, but ideally you have to understand that unless I keep my backbone straight, it won't work. The formula will not have the full potential output. So we have to understand that the process of CIA needs certain discipline. And that discipline in the initial stages requires stability. Now, for example, just to give you an analogy, if you want to see your image in a bowl of clean water, so what do? If you hold a bowl of water in your hand and you want to see your image in it, okay? Now, if your bowl, if the water is shaky, then your image will not be clear, correct? To stabilize that water, what do you need? You need to stabilize the bowl. To stabilize the bowl, you need to stabilize yourself, the person holding the bowl. So body needs to be stable, then the bowl needs to be stable, then only the water will be stable and the image will be clear. Correct? So if you look at it like that, then we understand that if you want your chitta, that vasana, that imprint on the causal body to be clean, then your physical body needs to be stable, your mental body needs to be focused and stable and clean. Only then your imprints on your causal will become stable, clean. And that time, anything you see in this world will reflect on you and show you the perfect imagery. So, for that, now we understand. Now, if you look at it logically like that, then we understand that we have to learn the physical discipline first. So, I have to stabilize my body first. Then only the bowl can be expected to be stable. So, I cannot expect my mind to be stable if my body is dancing, unless I have learned the art of keeping my hand in the stable position and the dance around. So that requires a higher skill. So now if you look at it like that, then you will see the logical sequence. So they first taught you in yogic method, they first teach you discipline of life. That means to stabilize yourself, you have to have a good discipline of body, you have to have good food, you have to have environment which is calm and peace. See, if you have a glaring music going on or some kind of a drama going on, then you can't physically stand. If there's an earthquake, you cannot stand. So all that in the eightfold path of yoga, they teach you all of that in that systematic manner, how to reach the physical stability first with asanas. So by the time you reach, then you understand, okay, how do I stand? How do I sit? So for these kind of meditative postures or for contemplative postures, one key element, I'm not saying that all of you should start sitting in a lotus posture from today onwards, which is the ideal, because that keeps your backbone straight. But what is important is that backbone has to be straight. So that is why you cannot sit on a cushioned, such a cushioned thing that you slump into it. So you need a kind of semi-hard base which has to be conduited from the ground, because if you touch the earth is a very direct conduct, so it will create vibrations in the field. So if anybody has a different vibration sitting anywhere else in the room, that you will feel and you cannot concentrate. So if a person is happy or sad, you will feel that vibration. So to insulate yourself, that is why we have layers of asanas, the seats, and that is important. So you must have as they say, a conduit, not a conduit, basically a kind of an insulator to sit on. In the ancient time, they used the skin of a deer, and then they had that kushas, the grass seat, and those things were insulators. So you need at least a comfortable a cloth, and use that cloth only for yourself, and sit straight. That is the key. Your backbone should always be straight. If you sit in half lotus or a lotus, that will naturally support your posture. So I leave it to you. Think about it. Whichever is convenient for you, maybe if time permits or if there's an occasion, we can think about it. So you use that technique to stabilize. Okay? Sit straight. And then basically, if you want to have a bell, because the sound of bell, and the bell is made up of different elements. So if you choose a good bell, even the sound of bell will focus your mind. It actually removes the negative thoughts. The sound of bell has that power. In our Indian style, we do omkar. So these have the subtle sound system which will remove the negativity around us. So if you sit in a straight posture, use the bells, use the chant, just to bring your mind to focus. So when the body becomes still, then you start, you can use chant, then you start focusing your mind. For focusing the mind, the easiest technique which we have seen is putting a flame in front of you, because the flame has its own energy, not the light. Don't use bulb, it'll hurt your eyes. So if you look at the flame, the heat, don't be too close to it. The energy of the flame also becomes very beautiful. When you focus on it and close your eyes, you can feel the brightness without hurting. Flame has got a lot of positivity, so you can use a flame to focus, because the mind needs an object to look at. You can choose a form of your desire. So anything to put you down together. And once you have come to that level, then you can bring your thought to your breath, and that is the starting point. The breath is easiest. In our Vedantic philosophy, they have given us an eternal mechanism of soham technique. When you breathe in, that is so. When you breathe out, it is hum. So, hum. So that also is a contemplative technique in which you start bringing your mind and focusing. Don't follow the breath, just focus on the tip, so that you know when it has gone in, when it has gone out. Observing the breath is the key. It is not easy. I've been trying, and it is really takes you a lot of effort even to focus for a few minutes. But it is a beautiful experience. It's a very calming experience. It really helps to stabilize yourself. So I would encourage you all to try it out. So if you do that, and that is the way to start, and that will take off in multifold dimensions for you tomorrow. So you don't have to really worry about it afterwards, how it will expand. So if you look at your mindful experiences, then you can use that same technique into different areas. You can do mindful sleeping, walking, eating, anything you're doing. Watch your breath, observe everything what is happening to you. Last time I told you about story about that when you bathe, also you can experience how the water touches your head and falls down. How many of you really thought about it, that which part gets touched and how it flows, water flows down? See, that is mindful bathing also. So you can expand your conscious living into all aspects of your driving, of your life. See, while we are driving, most of us, when you drive, you don't even think of changing the gears and all that. It naturally happens. You right? You don't even have to worry about which way you have to turn, because if you drive every day to office, you exactly know, and you turn. So we become so subconsciously tuned that our awareness is going somewhere else. So can we be aware at the same time while we are aware of other things? And that is the next stage. So the mindful technique will be when you can use the same skill and remain in every aspect of our life, and then you can do different things. Now I'm just sharing with you their affirmations. Now for children, when we do, there are slight differences. For children, we use affirmations, and what I've learned through my experience also, and the master has taught us, and I've done a lot of work with the kindergarten and primary, and I've realized this technique works. They are more conscious of themselves. They are easily able to comprehend things. they can navigate their thoughts very well, they can come to a conclusion very fast, and you can logically discuss even with a 5-year 4-year-old kid. And that is a phenomenal experience to see how when you train them into this kind of conscious living, they start behaving and differently, and that becomes interesting to see. So we have a technique, and if anybody is interested, offline we can take it up. I can even consult you differently. But the point is, the breathing technique is very important. That is the easiest way. Your breath goes with you everywhere, so you can follow it. And breathing with positive affirmation, and these are some affirmations in front of you. Like when you breathe in, you feel I'm calm. When you breathe out, you say I'm at ease. So anything, instead of just breathing, because you lose a focus. That's why I said all these things are like signboards. You need them initially just to keep yourself in alignment. So when I say so hum, when you're doing that, so hum, how long can you remain in that consciousness is a challenge. Hence, all these small tips are given to us, that how do we do and create this awareness within ourselves. Acceptance and let go. Now, there are some calming activities if you look at it. Like how do you calm yourself? I'm just sharing with you a few tips which I've gathered and I like them. Very simple. You can even take your thumb and press between your palm until you start hearing your heartbeat. When you start feeling your heartbeat, if you press it and hold, it'll calm you down. So anytime you're having anxiety, you have stress, and you feel a little restless, use that. Just press it. And if you're angry, if you're breathless, then you can just slide your finger from top to bottom. When you slide it down to the center, you breathe in. When you slide out, you breathe out. That's all. So you touch like that and then do this. Follow the breath cycle. Don't let the breath follow this. You follow the breathing cycle. So follow that way. Then another small trick here is that you stand straight and you rise yourself on your toes. When you rise up, you breathe in. When you go down, you breathe out. So that's another. See, all these techniques, if you're standing and talking and you feel a little angry or restless sometimes, you can just do that softly. Nobody would even know what you're doing, but that will bring your whole tension down and it'll calm you down. Okay. And then the last one is very interesting, because sometimes you are really agitated and angry. So you can just stand straight, feel that your feet is stuck on the ground, and you rigorously shake your body, and that would also help you to calm down. Okay. So so that was the idea behind it, and I think I have kind of 10 more minutes I wanted to discuss. If you have any questions so far in this whole concept, you are welcome to ask me right now, and let me see if go green in all aspects of life, COD, conscious living, inspired pathway. Brother, inspired pathway by Leshna. If you can put these things as a part of question or a suggestion, then I would present it also and we can discuss that. So, because I don't know where you are connecting these two. So if you can help me. COD was taught in a different program. That was your teachers in philosophy of education. Here it is CIA. So keep the questions relevant to the topic here. So after 2 days, we have that philosophies and the teaching methodologies. There, Leshna, you can bring in this COD concept, and we will certainly discuss there. Uh, Simple living in an automated function as a flute for sight to act through. Yes, you're saying dedication and surrender, that's fine. If there is any particular question anybody would like, any topic, we have 5 minutes to go through. We can discuss that. Can you elaborate on mindful sleeping? Interesting. Mindful sleeping. See, usually what happens is when we go to sleep, we actually expect us to be tired to sleep, right? The whole day we have worked, we have run around, and not today. Basically, nowadays we are more relaxed, but still, the idea of sleep is that I'm tired, so let me go to sleep. Whereas sleep is a very, in a yogic terminology, it is a very beautiful aspect of life, and everybody needs it, and it's a must. And sleeping is a process. Most of the time we do sleep as a default factor of tiredness. We just go and fall on the bed, and we expect just to lose ourselves. And because of this understanding, people use various other things which are not healthy for them to fall asleep, because we have never understood that sleeping itself is a kriya, is an activity, is a most one of the most important physical activity is sleep. And that is why almost 8 hours are allocated for sleep. For children it is between 8 to 12 hours. For babies it is 10 to 12. For as they grow up it becomes less and less, but still on an average the sleep requirement for a human normally is between 6 to 8 hours. So sleep takes a major chunk of our life, and still we do that as a default factor. Like we are tired, you go and sleep. Even during the day I'm feeling little headache, heavy head, I want to nap. But the problem is we have not understood the sleep to be a yogic kriya, an activity, and most important activity. What happens in sleep? So how many of us can lie down consciously and relax? So in sleep what happens? You are giving your body rest, you are supposed to give your mind rest, and that is why you move from your gross body, the sleep state, to deep sleep state. You reach that deep sleep state, you reach unconsciously. Because of our tiredness we go into deep sleep, but actually when you do it consciously, that becomes mindful sleeping. So when I sleep, I want to experience the joy of deep sleep. I want to experience that Turiya state. I want to experience that Prajna state, that enlightened wisdom state. And that will happen when we do it consciously. So, mindful sleeping is a beautiful activity if we do it consciously. Okay, now my 8 hours have started or my 6 hours have started. Whatever time you want to allocate, and just take the position. Many of the rishis used to sleep while sitting. They can sit and sleep. They can, because again, once you have understood the concept of rest, then it's beautiful. Body needs rest. Let the body be rest. You can walk and still take rest. You can talk and still the whole body can be in rest. See, these are the small tricks you can learn, that I can talk to you and I still can put my whole leg and feet and my hands to rest. They will be sleeping. So when I wake up, when I want to move, my hands are fresh and ready to go. I can even sleep and listen. So all these things will happen when we have developed an art of mindfulness, the conscious CIA in sleep. The constant integrated awareness is that when I am constantly aware, be it on a physical realm or a subtle realm or in the causal realm. So this is how the whole thing will work. So you start by consciously going to sleep, by focusing on your breath, by allowing your body to slowly, depart. And if I may use a quick word for you, because I know Sharda has asked, so she will understand. Take Yoga Nidra, that Shavasana stage, the corpse pose. If you take the corpse pose and inquire more into Yoga Nidra, and you will understand the concept of deep sleep, conscious sleep. And that conscious sleep, we can start by mindfulness. So, mindful sleeping, when you're aware of your sleep, when you consciously go into that realm. Devi has asked, how do we know? Another interesting question. How do we know this is our inner voice? I know This question was asked last time also by somebody, that when we are focusing on ourselves, and you have a confusion that is it my inner voice or is it my ego or my mind talking to me. Devi, in a simple manner, our master has given us an answer that any time that voice, whatever is the outcome of it, look at the outcome of it. If that activity outcome is for only your benefit, if it is for only for your good, then it is ego talking. If that outcome of that voice is a general happiness, is for the masses, is for the good of the humanity or the mankind, then it is an inner voice. So the more selfless the outcome, that indication should be that it is inner voice. And that judgment you cannot do by consciously using your mind. For that, you have to be calm. Only then the inner voice will become more and more clearer. And hence, again, you also need mindfulness. So, the more and more we are calm, more and more we have controlled ourselves, the, the more louder we will be able to listen to our inner voice. And the outcome of the inner voice, the resultant, why am I, what this thought is prompting me, what this voice is prompting me, if it is only beneficial to me, then I need to rethink. If it is beneficial to everybody, then yes. So that is the key catch. I'm not saying it's an ultimate, a kind of check, but yes, I think it'll give you a kind of help to decide how do we do that. Okay. Anything else? Any other questions? Please feel free. I have got a few more minutes to go. Thank you so much. Oh, thank you very much. And so today, if you really look at the whole thing, what I've tried to share with you, the very fascinating concept of constant integrated awareness. It is the state which will help us from Vaishvanara state or physical consciousness state to the Turiya state. At least theoretically, if we understand today, then the further contemplation on each stages will help us to progress. So this is how, if you look at life, you will find it very energetic and very beautiful. As a master would say, life is beautiful only if you know how to live it. Otherwise, it becomes a chaos. So I wish you all very best. Thank you very much. We had a good group, and I hope this concept made some sense, and it will help as you move forward in your lives. And if there is anything relevant questions or any relevant topics that you would like to discuss, please feel free. And let me close by saying that just to facilitate the program and by the seniors demand, what we have done is we have made two separate channels, and this video is being put on the new channel, and that is values in action page. In that, all our value-based programs and talks and these presentations will be posted. On the other one, the first one, we will host all the messages and life of our master, Bhagwan Sri Satya Sai Baba, so that people who are interested in that can easily look at that without getting mixed up here. And these topics we can discuss in different ways. So I would request you all, whosoever is here, can please, as you look at it, please subscribe to this channel too, and that would help us to communicate easy from your side. Okay. And once you have subscribed, Viva, you will be getting an intimation. You can even write a note to us or send us an email if you want, or you can even WhatsApp me your number. So any way you feel like, you can communicate with us, and we will keep you updated and posted. So you can please send us your contact or you can subscribe on the channel. So that way also intimations will come to you. So just to inform you, day after tomorrow, which is 8th at 6:30 p.m. This is I'm correct. So today we had a little confusion. 6:30 p.m. IST. We are having another session on value-based teaching methodologies, especially oriented for children. So any parent, any adults who are interested in child growth and development are welcome. And we will share teaching methodologies, and we'll also give you some expert commentary inside. We have invited some people so that you can at least get a first-hand experiences from them. And it'll be interesting to understand how to utilize these techniques even at home and certainly at the school level. So I welcome you all to join me again day after tomorrow, 8th at 6:30 p.m. same time. So if you have any further questions, you are welcome to message me. And yeah, I always read all your comments, and I really, really appreciate you taking time to encourage and to suggest further. So thank you very much once again, and wish you all the best. Be safe, and thank you.